we will listen to the speech of rapporteurs, and thank you for your all work in the afternoon. I hope you've had a great time, and these rapporteurs will summarize and also represent of your work, all of your work in the afternoon. Because we have only 5 minutes per rapporteur in the main hall, I ask you, all the rapporteurs, to speak not more than 5 minutes here as well. This will train ourselves just to keep the time. I will also measure the time, so I will use a chronograph just to make sure that you won't run out of time. So the first speaker will be Ryan Lane from Arizona State University, who will summarize the main statements of the economic issue. I will give you the floor, Ryan.
Hello, my name is Ryan Lane. I'm representing the Job and Youth Forum. So the key statements that came out of our group session. There is a strong information mismatch between what the economy demands and what potential employees, including youth, are looking for. We see major changes in the labor market, specifically the breaking down of geographical boundaries, which both opens up opportunities and drastically increases employee competition in a cross-cultural context. Formal schooling by itself does not provide the capacity to adapt to a flexible, ever-changing economy. Fresh graduates face the paradox that to get experience, you need a position. To get a position, you need experience. The lack of coordination between universities, private companies, NGOs, and government organizations produce a youth workforce that is ill-informed to meet the demands of the modern economy. So after identifying these key issues, our group coalesced around 2 main proposed solutions. The first one is rather concrete in nature. It involves a much more tighter coupling between the university systems, the government agencies, and the entities in the workforce, including private companies, NGOs, and the like, to create a positive feedback loop where students are scaffolded through and are given the opportunity to gain experience prior to entering the workforce proper. A technical component of this suggestion is a centralized database that would be directly pulling from university and professional experience that would match up potential student employees, most specifically fresh graduates, and interested entities in the private space, corporations, NGOs, and the like, who are looking for fresh employees. So this would centralize and aggregate all of the positions that go wanted and the individuals who are looking for work. So that is the first concrete recommendation. The second one is a more broad stroke long-term recommendation, which has to do with changing the way that students are prepared to advance and continue as the economy continues to change faster than ever before. And that involves changing the mindset of students from finishing their education when the formal schooling stops to shifting to a mindset of lifelong learners, where they have the tools, the motivation, and the awareness to seek out whatever knowledge they need to adapt themselves as the economy changes going forward. This mindset has benefits outside of just the youth and just fresh graduates. It also extends to anyone who wants to be able to succeed and come to terms with an economy that is changing at a rate previously unfathomable. Now, of course, this is a very large thing to ask, and requires significant institutional change. So we propose a modest suggestion of introducing elements of this thinking into existing curricula, and starting to change the tide of one of empowering individuals with these tool sets instead of just giving them concrete knowledge. And that sums up our work. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And the social benefits is a topic at the main conference, but we split it into two, the e-participation and the social problems. Therefore, we have only 2 times 3 minutes at the main hall. So I would like to ask Hanna Jánosi to give a short presentation in 3 minutes about the social problems, and then Márton Rétvári to add a presentation about the e-participation. Hanna is from Toronto, University of Toronto. She is a student, and Márton is a student of Budapest Corvinus University. Hanna, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I feel very honored to be able to be here to have participated in such fascinating forums with all of you. Our working group discussed human rights and social issues connected to cyberspace. The basic principles that we agreed on were that human rights are the fundamental values on which the internet should operate, especially because the internet should be ideally accessible to all humans around the world as a tool to develop social, cultural, economical, and political competencies across the world. We have to keep in mind that the social benefits of cyberspace are much more significant and much more important than the social risks. Therefore, the internet should remain as free, accessible, and as open as possible to all users. No institution should control or censor the content of cyberspace simply in the name of preserving young people from threats, especially since blind censorship, as we have seen in many countries, often leads to rebellion and therefore further harm. Rather, we have agreed in our forum that it is crucial to educate the youth of all countries about the importance of logical thinking, critical thinking, and the importance of discussions. Therefore, we propose the following specific actions on the international, national, and local levels. So for the international institutions, we have developed a few recommendations. We think the number one most important thing is education or on internet literacy, especially for all the deprived regions of the world where there is a lack of national measures. One specific idea we came up with, a little side idea, is to recycle many of the computers which developing countries use and send them to, which developed countries use, and send them to developing countries so that we can make this process more rapid. We also agreed that it is extremely important to educate young people and middle-aged people and old people about the importance of security and privacy. Old people tend to know this from living in various government regimes, but young people tend to be quite naive. We agreed that on an international level, it is important to develop methods of punishment, of privacy regulations, so that companies don't simply switch their servers to other countries, but rather there should be international agreement in this. And it's important to spread the methods of using social media for education around the world. On the government level, the national level, it's very important for each government to research what is happening in their own national context online to identify the real national problems. And these problems may, of course, be quite different depending on which countries we are looking at. Therefore, it's very important that this happens on a national level. It's also important to improve the cyber literacy of all the young people in the country so that they can really reflect critically on what is internet content they are reading and creating. And the most important thing on a national level is to provide opportunities for young people to impact legislation and government decisions about the internet. Since we will be the owners of the internet in the future, it's very important for us to learn to deal with the internet in a responsible manner. And the last area where we have some advice is for ourselves, for the local youth. The most important is for everybody in their own communities to be active, to start discussions. Potentially, we could start a network of communities and universities discussing cyberspace. We should teach about human rights in the schools, and we should learn to think in more constructive manners. That is what we can do, every single one of us in our own homes, in our own families, in our own lives. Thank you very much for your attention.
Martin Reetvari is here. Yep, thank you.
So our group got the e-participation. And basically what we started out with was a long-lasting debate about what can you actually say about e-participation, because it's not quite clear if you can actually have a stone-cold definition of it. So we really came up with that you can participate by doing anything. But unfortunately, you really need something to actually start, use as a starting point. So we settled with one definition, that's taking part in shaping the life of your community into a better place. We came up with this because every single thing, every single event in human history came from one thing. Someone wanted to change something. Someone wanted something to be different. And this human will, this basic human need that we each and every single day live with, govern our whole life. We basically looked into how can you apply this to e-participation, because people were doing this in the last good couple thousand years, but electronic participation didn't really came in. How can e-participation exactly influence how we actually think and change the environment that we live in? People don't really know what they can and they cannot change. Especially Hungarians, if you think about it, we really like to bicker about things that we cannot influence and don't really take action in things that we can actually influence. We just fear and run away from things that we can actually influence and just stick to those things that we cannot. In the debate that we had, every single one of us realized that in a good couple of minutes we can come up with problems in our local environment that we need to change and we need to address. Every single one of us had something in mind right now that they want to change. And before e-participation came along, we had a lot less chance to do so. Now we have the social media sites. Now we have different avenues of communications that we can reach and organize people. We have problems about towns being segregated into two different parts. We came up with ideas that we can make video blogs about them and show them that they're actually not that different and they're all just human beings. We have problems with kids who don't know what to do with their lives. We can make blogs, we can make Facebook posts, we can make them feel that they are not alone, that everyone else struggles with these problems. We can be there for each other. And electronic participation just gave us a new avenue to do so. So we think that even though it has some drawbacks, for example, we need to speak the common language, because even so, if this is a global phenomenon, I need to speak English to reach most of you, because you simply don't speak Hungarian, and that's fine. There are different things that e-participation can and cannot do, but the positive ones way, way, way outweigh the negative ones. We simply have to reach and work with these new avenues to change and do so. Thank you.
Thank you. The IT security topic is the last one, and we have two speakers about this topic. Dr. Attila Kiss, PhD candidate at the Science University of Pécs, and Márton Marcell, who's a student at Péter Pázmány Catholic University. Both are from Hungary. Attila, please.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you. Our group was taking into consideration the possible means of cybercrime, which affects the everyday life of the youth. The participants of the youth conference would suggest the following points to the highly representatives. First of all, the government should set a good example for security practices, cooperating with NGOs and security experts. A guideline has to be drawn for parents and teachers what to do in case of any unlawful acts happening to youth in the world of the internet. It has to be clear which institutions, NGOs can help and which regulation can be applied for crimes such as stalking, hacking of emails of the students, or data phishing or virtual personality theft. In order to strengthen the spreading knowledge about privacy issues and the importance of cybersecurity, NGOs have to cooperate with schools and start campaigns informing the students and the teachers about the threat of the cyber world.
It is important to draw attention to cybersecurity issues both in primary and secondary education. This is achievable both by educating the teachers on obligatory courses and by bringing in volunteering projects to the schools to broaden knowledge about virtual identity and privacy. Teaching of e-commerce methods should also be incorporated, along with the dangers that come with them. This needs not only legislation that makes it mandatory to educate students about the matter, but also stronger enforcement of said laws. There is also a need to set up efficient help and support for young people who have already become victims of cybercrime. There should be someone in their school that they can turn to in this case. The parents also need to be educated about both the dangers of using the internet and the security practices that can help you avoid them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Nothing left now, just have a coffee at the main hall, and because after the session we will have some soft drinks at the evening, and probably we won't be at the same group. I would like to thank you for coming to Budapest and have a good time. I would like to thank you people who helped our work. I would like to thank you the people at the European Council. I would like to thank Szilárd, Viktor, Laszlo, and first and foremost Dia, and also my colleagues, Peter Fodor, who was the technical operative leader of the whole organization, whole event. So thank you, Peter, and also Gyöngyvér and Melinda, who helped us. And now we've had a great time, so thank all of you, and rest of the time have a good time in Budapest. I hope that in the evening you will have a great opportunity to meet people at the main hall, and just go out to Budapest. It will be a nice weather probably. So thank you all of you, and have a good time.